How's it going? We're back at it after a holiday weekend. Haseen Williams, Braden, Surprenant. I hope you guys enjoyed the holidays as well as New Year's Eve and all that fun stuff. But it's back to basketball here. So we start off with Cathedral Catholic and Serra, number 1 versus number 10. But if you look at the score behind us, there's a little bit of disparity between 1 and 10. What stood out to you in tonight's game besides, Cathedral being very dominant?
Well, I'm not really surprised. I was really checking to see how good Cathedral was last week. I measured them in the SoCal Holiday Prep. They were in the top division. Only loss was to Mater Dei, which is a nationally ranked team, by 17. So that's like their bar. Their bar is honestly outside of San Diego right now.
Talk about, some of our teams going out of section and playing some other teams. We fared pretty well for the most part in the top 10. If you look at it, go down the list. But, how did you overall, what was the type of scouting report or grading you had for San Diego teams out of the section?
I think we did good. I know, like I said, Mater Dei went 4-1 or 3-1. Mission Hills and San Marcos struggled a little bit in that same division. They both had some untimely injuries. Bishops did well, 3-1. Carlsbad, I got to see them a couple times. They did really well. So when you factor in the level of talent that we had coming to town and the way teams fared, I would say we're right there with everybody.
Which is great to hear for San Diego and our growing basketball community, as well as our sports community as well. Let's get to the top 10 that we have here as we go through it. Bottom half of the list, 6 through 10. Serra comes in at number 10. That might change after tonight, but we were talking about it earlier. There seems to be a hit and miss with the bottom half of trying to fit another team into the top 10. Some shout outs to Grossmont and Otay Ranch just on the cusp and cracking the top 10. El Camino, another one. San Diego was another team that we discussed before. As we get through it, San Marcos 9, Bonita Vista 8, Mater Dei 7, Bishop 6 are combined votes that we have. One team that sticks out to me that has played a brutal schedule, and they haven't won a game yet against the top 10, but look like they're going to do it. It's Coach DiCarlo's group up at San Marcos. They're 9-7. What can you explain on why they're so low and 9-7? Is it because of their schedule?
Schedule's been tough. Their best player, Serra, has been hurt with a knee injury. And they lost a lot to graduation. They had a lot of talent come back, but the depth wasn't there. So to have an injury like hers is something that there's no way he could, Coach DiCarlo could prepare for that. They're going to get in a league, and their league there's no nights off in that league with La Costa and Mission Hills and who else is in that league? But it's a tough league from time.
The Avocado League and most sports. It's all the North County schools for the most part.
Yeah, so it's going to be tough. But they're a championship team. They made a deep run to state last year, open division team, semifinal or finalists in Division I a couple years ago. So they'll figure it out.
Well, it's tough to name all the leagues because they change every single year, and then the league's different for football than it is for volleyball, is for basketball. So it's pretty tough to keep up with all the leagues. But another team that sticks out to me, Bonita Vista, they're kind of battling some injuries. You guys played them at Bishops a couple weeks ago. It's a 20-point game, but with the injuries factoring in, it probably wasn't that spread out of a difference in that game. Against the Bishops moving up, you guys are moving up the list. You have it 6 in our rankings here. Mount Miguel 5, Mission Hills 4. Christian 3, La Jolla Country Day 2, and Cathedral Catholic 1. You look at those top 5 teams. Mission Hills kind of took their lumps this last week. What can you say about them, and what do they need to do to get back into the top 3?
If you look at the last couple of years, this time of year, because their schedule is so tough, he takes a lot of lumps. So usually league is when they get right, but again, the league is being changed. It's going to be tough. I think they'll figure it out in the league. They have some key injuries that they have to try to figure out. Move some pieces around, but they'll figure it out. So I think honestly the gap between 1 and 2 is pretty large right now. You look at those teams you mentioned, the Christians, the Cathedrals. Christians and Mission Hills, La Jolla Country Day,
Mount Miguel.
I think those teams right now are. If you look at the average margin of victory for Cathedral, it's been wide, even against the top 10. So it'd be hard not to say that they're probably head and shoulders above everybody else. But that next tier, 2 through 4, is wide open.
We got about 3 tiers here in the game. We got the Cathedral at 1, then we got about 2 through 5, 6-ish with La Jolla Country Day to Bishops, and then you got the Mater Dei through San Marcos tier, and then you got 10 through receiving votes, which seems to be on a different level than the rest of the top 10. But that's the top 10. Recap real quick: Cathedral, La Jolla Country Day, Christian, Mission Hills, Mount Miguel, Bishops, Mater Dei, Bonita Vista, San Marcos, and Serra. We got some great games coming up next week. We'll talk about some games. We'll break them down. We'll give some shout-outs to some girls that are going to be playing in these marquee games. On Monday, Eastlake's going to play Hilltop. We won't go into too much detail, but that's the game of the night on Monday. Tuesday, we got a couple games. Helix at Grossmont, Vista at San Diego, and Pacific Ridge at Escondido Venice Academy. That's a small game or small school game of the week with those two squads. And then we get to the second part of Tuesday. I just want to talk briefly about it. Mount Miguel at El Cap's going to be a good one, and Maranatha Christian at Tri-City Christian. But then we get to Wednesday, and we got some top teams here playing. La Costa Canyon, a team that was in the top 10 before, traveling to Mission Hills, who comes in at number 4 on our list. Both teams are 6 and 7. Game will be at 5:30 on Wednesday.
Yeah, honestly, La Costa's also in that group. They keep falling out of the top 10 just because they can't get that first top 10 win. But they're as talented as anybody in that group of receiving votes. I know Mission Hills has been eyeing them for a while, but I seen Coach Croce at a lot of their gyms, so he's going to be familiar with them. I really like what the coach is doing there. First-year coach, got a lot of pieces, can beat you in so many ways. Really good guards, which you got to have today. So if they can get strong guard play, they don't turn the ball over, they have a shot against Mission Hills.
I'm going to take Mission Hills, though.
I probably will take Mission Hills as well.
All right, so we're moving on here. Scripps Ranch at Serra. This is an interesting game. Serra's going to bounce back from this loss, obviously. Scripps Ranch is 6 and 4, but they've been able to beat some top teams and then kind of lose to some teams that they probably shouldn't lose to. They were here in attendance. The game's at 5:15 next Thursday at Serra High School. What can you say about the Falcons, since we've already talked a little bit about Serra?
Well, it'll be the key to see how they lick their wounds and bounce back from this loss. I like Scripps. They got a lot of talent. Not a lot of people talked about them. They were really good last year. They didn't really lose. I mean, they lost their starting point guard, but they brought a lot of talent back. Got a transfer that I'm familiar with from my days at Mira Mesa, Bella, who can really, really go. So, honestly, right now, if I had to make a pick, I think I might pick the upset and go with Scripps.
I'm going to go with Scripps Ranch as well. I got to pick my community, otherwise I can't go to Starbucks throughout the week. University City at Point Loma is another big game. 11-4 UC at Point Loma, 12-2. That game will be at 5:15 on Thursday. And then we got J. Serra Catholic and your Bishop Knights next Thursday. That's going to be a big game. You guys have Bishop Gorman on Saturday. A tough schedule there by Coach Marlin. What can you say about the tough schedule that you guys have put together?
It's good. We're young, so it's good to see our young players get tested. Even like last week, we played some really tough teams. We beat a good Folsom team. We came up short to a McClatchy team from Sacramento. That was really good. So Coach Wells knows what he's doing. He set up the gauntlet for us. If we survive the gauntlet, then we'll be battle tested for the playoffs.
Bishops is going to have a tough schedule ahead, but it's only going to pay him in the long run. And then we get to Friday. Friday is the games I want to talk about the most. Grossmont at Mount Miguel. Grossmont's 11-3. They're just on the cusp of making the top 10. They lost to the Serra team by 20 points. However, Mount Miguel is a top 5 program, a sleepy team for us because for some reason we never give them enough love. They were able to win last year, 12-4 Mount Miguel. That game will be at Mount Miguel at 5:30 on Friday night. How do you see this one playing out?
It's a measuring stick for Grossmont. That's where they want to get. I mean, Mount Miguel has been picture of dominance in that league forever, basically. So I'm not sure they're ready. But it's going to be a good test to see how far away they are from being able to compete for that league title.
That's a sure win into the top 10 if you win that game for Grossmont. Absolutely. Christian will play Cathedral here at Cathedral at 6 o'clock next Friday. Christian's 8-5, number 3 in the county. Cathedral's 11-4. It's going to be a top game and a really big league game here for these two squads.
Absolutely. Probably if you look on paper, roster-wise, probably the two most talented teams. Some of a lot of D1 talent is going to be playing in that game. So very interested to see that one. I think the size of Cathedral is always going to present problems for any school. Christian has some size, but nobody can match the size that Cathedral has. So, but they have super talented guards. Our number 1 player in the class of 2020 is Allie Carrion. She leads them, one of the best shooters in the county, Kristen Williams. So Cathedral, as much as Cathedral is loaded, we say it all the time, Christian's loaded as well. So it's going to be a lot of talent on the floor.
We got big two heavyweights battling out next Friday night. And it's a league match. This place should be popping for that game. Modern Day at Otay Ranch is probably the most intriguing game this week. It's next Friday as well. That game will be at, I think, 6 o'clock. Also, number 7 Modern Day, who comes in at number 5, or 9-5, taking on Otay Ranch, who's 11-1, just on the cusp of receiving votes. Is this the big tester game for Otay Ranch?
It is. We caught a lot of grief this week for our rankings. People thought that we slighted Modern Day. They had a really good weekend last week in the SoCal Prep. They actually won their division. They just haven't played. We haven't really seen them, against the section. So against Otay I think that'll be a measuring stick again for them to see how much better they are. That's a loaded division. That South Bay League is loaded with Bonita, Mater Dei, Montgomery, Olympian.
Eastlake.
They had, I think, 2 or 3 CIF champions from last year, or people that made lake runs. Eastlake, like you said. So, again, just like the Grossmont, Mount Miguel. For Otay, Mater Dei is definitely the measuring stick to see how far away they are from being able to compete with the best of the best.
That's going to be a great game down in the South Bay next week. So those are the games we wanted to highlight for you for next week. It's going to be a big week of high school girls basketball here in San Diego. We are in league play officially. That's where things start getting ready and heating up for the playoffs. Haseen, real quick, if you're got to go to a game, don't say a Bishop's game because we already know you're going to be there. If you got to pick for a game to go to, one game you get to go to this week, you convince your family we're going to go to this game. What game are you going to pick?
Easy answer, Cathedral Christian. Easy answer.
Cathedral. I'm going to go with the Mater Dei Otay Ranch game, despite fighting the traffic to get down there. But once you get down there, it's going to be a great game.
Exactly.
And we'll pick our game to go next week when I get Haseen's list and then I figure out my schedule and all the fun stuff that we have to do each and every week. So for Haseen Williams, I'm Braden Surprenant here from Cathedral Catholic. Cathedral Catholic wins it 98-36. If I had to check the score one more time, over Serra. And we're excited for league play to continue. We'll see you guys next week.